Okay, this morning I want to go over one of the standards that is used in evaluating our projects that are submitted to the coordinating board. It's called the Space Use Efficiency Report, and I hope it helps you understand the metric that is used in those evaluations of the projects that are submitted to the coordinating board. The agenda this morning, I'm going to give you what the purpose is. We're going to get an overview of the factors in the model itself, a little bit of process, some examples, some supplemental uses, and institutional impacts. Why are we doing this? Well, the legislature, under Texas Education Code 61, has established 4 different standards by which we evaluate our projects that are submitted to us, our capital projects that are submitted by you to the coordinating board. One of those is the space use efficiency. This measures how well the institutions are making use of their classroom and class labs, and it also is a bellwether about how well your institutions are actually being efficient with all of its education and general space in its buildings. The factor overview here shows the 3 areas by which we evaluate, which is the part of the SU, the room utilization, and this is done on the classrooms as well as the class labs, the demand hours that go into those particular classrooms and class labs, as well as the percent fill, how many students to the capacity ratio that goes into these particular classrooms and class labs. Starting with the first one, the percentage of the seats filled, it takes the entire capacity of the classroom itself and how many students are actually scheduled in that classroom. It kind of is also an indicator as to just how well your scheduling processes are working for your classrooms and class labs themselves. So this is one of the areas in the model. Then it goes into how many hours are scheduled in that particular room throughout the day. And we'll get into some more of that here shortly. This chart here, there is a huge amount of data that is collected through the SU. It utilizes a lot of the CBM reports that your institutions report to us. And what it does, we break it down into all that data and we put it into a standard index for 100 point per classroom and 100 points for the class laboratories as well. And it's indexed by a graduated scale for both classrooms and class laboratories. This chart here gives you kind of a statewide classroom usage trend. Over the inception, earlier the coordinating board used to calculate the classroom efficiency. It wasn't used for anything until about 2008. It's just an area of information for your institution. Since 2005, when the SU was actually started, and to 2018, the classroom usage trend for the state has trended upwards slightly. However, the class laboratory usage trend is slightly down from when its inception back in 2005. This chart here kind of indicates to your institution. These charts are done at the statewide level. It's also done at the institutional level. I'll get into the institutional level a little bit later. The black line that you see up here in this chart is how many total classrooms exist in the state of Texas for the institutions. The institutions that are subject to the SU calculations are the general Texas State, Lamar State Colleges. We calculate the SU for all of those. The classrooms here on the bottom of the chart is the hour of the day. The different colored lines are the days. And you can see where in this, the state, the peak time frames are in between the 9 to 12 and then around the 1 to 2 category. Those are the prime times when everyone's teaching these classes, or in the classrooms and class labs. This is a model of a high-scoring institution. Here again, you can take a look at the that represent the lines, and you have the hours per day. The green line right here represents the Saturday, which we expect to be very low, but there are institutions in the state of Texas teaching on Saturday. This will help the institutions understand where they can add more usage as far as outside industries, particularly small community colleges that rest next door to you or something, being able to better utilize your space. Here's an example of that. You can see in the commuter campuses that the time frames of the day are pushed out more into the nighttime levels. As far as other institutions, some of you are actually utilizing your space in the nighttime areas where you can get a lot more efficiency of the use of the space. This is an example of an institution that has a lot of room for improvement. Here again, you've got this line up here that indicates how many classrooms that institution has. So it's very low. They're not utilizing, their classrooms exceed on those classrooms. So therefore their SUS is relatively low. The SUS score, as we calculate it, spits out the overall frequency chart that you saw in one case, but it also spits out by building, by classroom, and by either class lab or classroom. It will give you all of the classes that are held in that particular room throughout that day. And you know, some of those reports can be hundreds of pages long, but this is a very useful tool that the institutions have used to kind of identify classrooms where they could possibly better utilize or even repurpose that space into space that they are needing on campus. That's about as much of the, yes, David? That's it. Yeah, it helps you understand what you're using or how you're using it specifically in that particular week in those time frames. And you saw the frequency. They were between the 9 to 12 category, and then again from about 2 to 3, 1 to 3. Those are typical in most all the institutions. So there's a lot of the areas and time frames on the outside of those that present possibilities for better utilizing the facilities that they already have. Any others? Thank you.